bleeds out. Lies run deeper. Justice falters.
They're cleaning everything.
Secrets can't stay buried. The Epstein Untouchables in theaters.
They said it would never happen. They swore the names would stay buried forever, but just hours ago, the United States House of Representatives did what the establishment feared most. They voted to release everything, the flight logs, the client lists, the sealed testimonies. And the panic in Washington right now? You can smell it from here. Now, this isn't just about a vote. It's about a global blackmail operation that has controlled politicians, CEOs, and celebrities for decades. When those files drop, we're not talking about embarrassment. We're talking about criminal exposure. The same people who lectured you about morality, who made your laws, who preached from their platforms, they're about to be exposed as clients of a child trafficking network. Democrats are already melting down because they know what's coming. Stacey Plaskett, yes, was exposed communicating with Epstein. It happened during the congressional hearing. Think about that. A sitting member of Congress exchanging messages from a convicted predator while making laws that affect your children. And she's not alone. The vote, 218 to 206. Every single person who voted no, they're protecting someone or themselves. Now, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing that we've all learned, it's that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Now, look, nobody knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing is for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It is physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So before the year ends, take one smart step towards a safer future and visit nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down below, or you can call that number 877-646-5347 and find out how you can get those 10 1-ounce silver holiday coins with qualified accounts. You've got to act quickly, though, because the holidays are going to get here before you know it. But here's where it gets worse. Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's brother, now claiming Republicans are scrubbing the files at a facility in Winchester, Virginia. Both sides are terrified. Speaker Mike Johnson went from supporting release to suddenly calling it incredibly dangerous for intelligence agencies. You know what's actually dangerous? Intelligence agencies using child trafficking blackmail to control our government. Even CNN's Van Jones accidentally admitted the truth while trying to attack Trump. And get this, victim groups that promised to release their own lists, well, they've gone completely silent. Why? Because the names on those lists are still people in power. Now, President Trump, before we get to all the juicy stuff, this is a moment on Air Force One. President Trump called a female reporter Piggy.
I can't tell you, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that are now including J.P. Morgan Chase.
Sir,
Yeah,
is there
Jennifer,
something incriminating in the file, sir?
So Air Force One, after she asked a question about Jeffrey Epstein.
Why acting as
Quiet.
On Venezuela,
Wow.
You've had a lot of meetings on Venezuela. I know you can't tell us what your next steps will
Wow.
be, but can you say, have you made up your mind on what you'd like to do for, as far as action for
I sort
Venezuela?
of made up my mind. Yeah.
I did not know that they let Rosie O'Donnell on Air Force One, man. That's wild. Yeah, I've never seen him react quite like that. I mean, I've seen him react to reporters before, but that was pretty pointed. Now, here's the moment. We got a lot of them. House Oversight Chair James Comer exposing Hakeem Jeffries on the House floor for soliciting a meeting and donations from Jeffrey Epstein, even after Epstein was a convicted predator. Nick Sortor writes, the Epstein thing is going to backfire massively on the Democrats. Listen to this.
To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get just colleagues' coordination with Epstein. Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority. So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch. The files underscore why former President Trump must appear for his deposition. We've subpoenaed him. To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get justice for the victims. That's our goal of this investigation. With that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we reserve. The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Colleagues' coordination with Epstein. Another email shows Democrats
coordinating with Epstein. Oh, yeah. No wonder Hakeem gets bent out of shape when asked basic questions about his own party's ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Why should Americans trust you and House Democrats on the Jeffrey Epstein files when one of your own, Congresswoman Plaskett, was found to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing, getting information from him, using that in her questioning during a congressional hearing, and at one point he tells her, "Good job."
This is a bipartisan effort to make sure that, consistent with what the survivors have requested, that there's full and complete transparency, and every single predator who may be in those Justice Department files doesn't escape accountability. Thanks.
Why should Americans trust you and House Democrats on the Jeffrey Epstein files?
Oh, Hakeem. My friends, this is only the tip of the iceberg. 6 hours ago, rapid response. Add Brooklyn's Barack, dollar store Obama, would have been better, to the list of Democrat sickos who aren't being honest about their connections to Epstein even after he was already a convicted sex offender. Cat got your tongue now, Jeffries? Here's the actual email. Let's see if we can zoom in for you. Oh. Lisa Rossi, Dear Jeffrey, we're thrilled to announce that we're working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars of the New York congressional delegation, sometimes referred to as Brooklyn's Barack. He's a staunch supporter of Obama. Oh, wow. The rising star. There it is. Dear Jeffrey. So, yeah, soliciting Jeffrey Epstein. Right there in black and white. Jamie Raskin. Rapid Response writes, one of the worst to ever disgrace the halls of Congress. Says Stacey Plaskett was just taking a phone call from her constituent when she colluded with a convicted sex offender during a committee hearing. Oh, Jamie Raskin, just trying to downplay it. Oh, yes. Maybe they should have just kept those files sealed, huh?
Phone calls. Well, they want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And of course, I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing. Well, they want to give...
All right, here's a test for you guys. The next time there's a committee hearing and your congressman is there, right on the dais, why don't you try to call them? Do you have their private cell phone number? Do you have that number? Can you text them anytime you want? Doesn't work that way, right? Oh, just taking a call from a constituent. No, he wasn't just any constituent. Oh, it's called coordination. Here is Tim Burchett on the Plaskett Epstein scandal. Quote, we don't have a lot of guts up here. When asked Tim Burchett if he supports censuring Plaskett over reports she was texting with Epstein during a congressional hearing, response was blunt.
Do you support...
Who are you with?
Allison Steiner with Lindell TV.
Okay, I've seen you.
Good to see you. Do you support censuring Rep. Plaskett after finding out that she was texting with Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing?
Absolutely. Epstein's a dirt bag, and the money they took from her, and you've got a member now who's violated the client privilege with one of them in prison, and then they interfered between the emails and things like that. Sure, absolutely. But will we? Probably not. We don't have a lot of guts up here. I'm kind of sick of it myself. This isn't like Tennessee where people they call you out and take you out behind the woodshed, and that's what these folks need up here.
Do you support...
That's what these folks need up here. Allison Steinberg doing the work on Capitol Hill. Here is Tim Burchett, likely moments before that. Oh, this is 5 hours ago. Yeah, you can see him. He's walking up to the gaggle.
Hey, everybody. Tim Burchett just leaving the House floor. Big vote on Epstein. Look at the press down there. Big gaggle. Hey, dude. On the Epstein vote, it passed. Only one person voted against it. The other was the dealing with Representative Plaskett, who apparently took a pretty large contribution from Epstein, and they found these text messages of him texting her questions to ask of a witness who was where they're trying to. It was a very contentious hearing against President Trump. Also, you have to remember that it was Trump's Justice Department that indicted Epstein, and it was Trump's Justice Department that indicted Maxwell. So we're finally, it'll go to the Senate, and we'll see what happens. But it's a lot going on with Plaskett and her shenanigans with Epstein, and we brought a bill up to condemn her and censure her. Of course, the Democrats voted against that, but
of course they would. Now, did you catch what he said? Of course, it goes from the House to the Senate. You think it's going to stall there? You think it's going to see the light of day? Oh, but who could forget this moment just 24 hours before the vote? Eric Fartswell had this to say: "Checkmate, Mr. President."
Checkmate. Hey, Congressman. What's going on? What the fuck is up with Trump calling on House Republicans to release the Epstein files? Very, very rich, Mr. President. But let me tell you what. Checkmate. I know you're more of a checkers guy than chess, but checkmate because you don't need Congress to release the Epstein files. We were doing this because you wouldn't release them. You actually have complete discretion to release all of the files. So why don't you do your job? Otherwise, we're just going to assume the worst. And the worst is that you don't want all of us to see how directly connected you are to the most notorious child sex trafficker ever. Checkmate.
Oh, Eric Swalwell thinks he can checkmate President Trump. What a joke. What an absolute joke that guy is. But of course, perhaps President Trump could have issued an executive order. I mean, they did try to send it down back to the court, have files unsealed. Court rejected that. But I think he's got bigger fish to fry at the moment. I decided to reply to Eric Swalwell. This is the same guy who bangs Chinese spies, farts on Rachel Maddow, and defrauds banks? Oh, I got some replies. Oh, let's see here. Swalwell, bang, bang. Communist, bang, bang. Yup. Oh, just say, quiet, piggy. Sure, you filing in there? Yup. Oh, but the comments, even George Santos. Oh, let me spell it out for those who don't know. This idiot banged a Chinese spy for years. Let's also remember that the FBI warned then Speaker Pelosi he shouldn't have access to classified information, so it's rich. You'd want to say something. You're mad because Trump called your effing bluff. Oh, why didn't your guy release the file? Why didn't your guy release the files when he was in the White House? Right? Exactly. Exactly. Here's the moment the Epstein Files Transparency Act passed the U.S. House of Representatives.
On this vote, the yeas are 427, the nays are 1. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
There it is. And the cheers. Only one person voted no. Now, at the beginning of the video, I did give you the wrong vote totals. I apologize. So here we are. 43 days into the shutdown, not one word about the Epstein files. The day the government was reopening, they switched immediately. Every left-leaning outlet was talking about running Epstein's stuff. Is that a coincidence?
From their policies. Clinton, that was on his plane 26 times. You have the delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands, Plaskett.
We'll come to her in a second.
Yeah, who's saying that, who was literally texting him and took a $30,000 donation for the DCCC on it. So I think this is all just a distraction that they're trying to get away from their policies and their ridiculous agenda that they have. I mean, think about this. We were 43 days in a shutdown. Not one word about the Epstein files. The day the government was reopening, they switched immediately. Every left-leaning...
of course they did. They had to control and shift the narrative, which is really odd because if you think about it, weren't they all they were doing was screaming about we need to extend the deadline for Obamacare subsidies so that all the illegals can continue to get health care. First order of business is to release the Epstein files? I thought that, the healthcare issue was the pressing matter. Strange, isn't it? This is 7 hours ago. Wall Street Apes Post Speaker Mike Johnson says declassifying the Epstein files is incredibly dangerous. He says it hurts our intelligence agencies and working with them.
In other, all right. Number 5, national security concerns. Okay. The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest and always has rested with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies. All right?
Well, release them. Let's find out why those intelligence agencies were using children. Y'all ever seen anything more true? Trump is in the Epstein files. What's in the Epstein files? It says Epstein hates Trump. But Trump is mentioned. Gotta love the cartoons. 10 hours ago, MJ Truth Ultra, sounds like MTG will be reading the names of who did naughty things on Epstein Island with children on the House floor in the near future. Oh boy. Haley Robinson, Epstein survivor, says she questioned Trump's motives for holding back at first. Now she only wants... Now to say he wants it released. It's chess, honey, not checkers. Carly Bone. So now the victims who said they were going to compile their own list, not putting out their own list. Now that's really strange.
And why hasn't a list been put? If you know that there are other people other than Epstein, other than Prince or former Prince, whatever his name is, why haven't they come out? And why hasn't a list been put together already?
It's so hard to answer that question because a list has been put together for years. Our attorneys, survivors, we've named names for years. And when I said we'll release a list, it was just speaking to more survivors to get more names on the list. The same names keep coming up. The same names that we've given with our attorneys to the DOJ and the FBI is the same names they've always had. So we do want to help, but they already have had all the information they've needed to release for years now. And so to answer your question, I don't know why it's taken so long. I mean, isn't that the $1 million question?
Why are you guys afraid to put out the names?
Death threats. A lot of us are mothers. We want the names to be out there. We want justice. But why do we have to do it? That's a very scary thing, and I think you know that. It's just we want to help to put the names out there, but it's not our responsibility to do so. And I think you know why. I mean, so many people, so many of the survivors.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, they have the authority to do so. They just voted to do it. Why would the survivors need to put themselves out there anymore? I get it. But of course, we have Jasmine Crockett making a fool of herself.
They care about affordability. They care about the fact that literally people are starving in this country because we have 42 million people, and I don't remember any one of you during that almost 2-month break.
I don't think that's related. My bad. So you're saying that the enablers of Epstein, nom de plume. So you're saying the enablers of Epstein are allowed to remain in Congress even after they're known to have been quite close to Epstein? Well, after they knew exactly who he was? How is Stacey Plaskett allowed to remain in Congress? Who is she? What's she up to?
The hell out of Congress. Hey there, libs. While you guys are waiting for the House to vote on releasing the Epstein files, you guys realize that the House Oversight Committee already dumped about 65,000 documents from the Epstein estate, a bunch of emails, which showed that you actually already have a number of people that you could be going after and getting them the hell out of Congress. You know that, right? And potentially arresting them for their roles with Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm not talking like pre-2007, 2008 South Florida federal case against Jeffrey Epstein, where Alex Acosta, the U.S. attorney, basically gave him a sweetheart deal. We're talking post that case, where we had a whole slew of Democrats that are still in Congress today, like Stacey Plaskett and like Hakeem Jeffries, that were going to Jeffrey Epstein to get money. And this lady right here, you understand, as a non-voting member of Congress from the U.S. Virgin Islands, do you know how close she was to Jeffrey Epstein? She was incredibly close. He donated $30,000 to her campaign. She tried to get him to donate $30,000 to the DNC in 2014, and the DNC did not allow, they wouldn't take his donation because he didn't pass their vetting, because he was a convicted child pedo thing. But she continued to take his money. Did you know while she was the attorney for the Economic Development Council in the U.S. Virgin Islands, before she actually ran for Congress, her Economic Development Council down there in the U.S. Virgin Islands approved over $300 million in tax breaks for Jeffrey Epstein? Yeah, this is the same lady that in 2018, yeah, she was actually actively texting Jeffrey Epstein himself, while she was sitting there in a hearing. You know that you could be trying to get her ass out of Congress right now if you actually gave a damn about any of this. But you don't. Did you know that she was a named defendant in a lawsuit from Jeffrey Epstein's victims? Wow. She was. Yeah. She was introduced to Epstein many, many years ago by Cecile DeJong, who was the former first lady of the governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands. And Cecile and her were responsible for assisting Jeffrey Epstein in securing the U.S. Virgin Islands as a safe harbor for Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. You guys know that, right?
Wow.
Why is she still in Congress? Why don't you care about her? Because she was a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, yeah. She needs to be removed. She was an accomplice. That's what this sounds like. Representative Roy said today on the floor, it was in fact President Trump's administration in 2019 that federally indicted Epstein. In July of 2019, it was the Trump administration that was going after Ghislaine Maxwell and set the stage for her indictment. And 10 hours ago, Thomas Massey on camera about Democrats' Epstein ties. His response says a lot.
Is texting with the Congressman. Will Republicans? Hi, Congressman.
Hi.
Will Republicans move to censure Rep. Plaskett after finding out she was texting with a convicted child sex offender?
I don't know. That's sort of, to me, that's just a distraction at this point.
What about Bill and Hillary Clinton? They're now refusing to show up before the House oversight regarding their depositions with Jeffrey Epstein. What's going to happen with them? Is there going to be a criminal referral?
That's up to the Oversight Committee and the Speaker of the House. I mean, everybody in this country has the right to plead the Fifth Amendment. If that's what they're doing, that's fine. But if they're refusing to show up at all, that's not legal.
Bannon and Navarro were in prison for doing the same thing. Should they be as well?
That's outside of my purview. The Oversight Committee has been doing their own investigation, and we have introduced legislation because they have yet to produce a single name or any justice for these survivors. Thank you.
Allison on fire with the questions. You go, girl. Wow. So let's keep going. We got more juice. Here's CNN's Van Jones. Accidentally says the quiet part out loud about Epstein while hurling insult to Trump and MAGA, hanging out in a safe space over on CNN with Anderson Pooper.
Colt is willing. He could just call the Justice Department right now.
He could do it right now. He could just do it right now. Look, I mean, it turns out that there is a limit to how far this kind of Trump cult is willing to go. And once you are talking about a massive conspiracy to protect pedophiles, even the Trump coalition cannot hold together. And I think he's actually probably shocked. He did all his usual tricks. He threw out the word hoax. He attacked this person, he attacked that person. He gave a nickname to Margaret Taylor Greene. None of his tricks worked. And I think he's probably sitting there shocked that yes, there is gravity. Yes, there is a sun in the sky. And no, Republicans are not going to support you protecting a pedophile ring.
A pedophile ring, huh? You and your Democrat buddies? Is that how it is? Moving right along here. Gloria Allred, in my years involved in this case, in many discussions with survivors of Epstein, not once has anyone said to me, is this the person who abused me? A Democrat or Republican, they just want justice. President Trump said House Republicans should vote to release the files because we have nothing to hide. That was 48 hours ago, and now the vote has come through. Over on CNN, Aaron Burnett. But the president did say over the weekend that only a very bad, stupid Republican would fall in the trap of voting for the release of the files. Mace, Trump has come around, and Biden never came around.
Never gave these women a chance. And
Facts
that's a
are the
good
facts
thing.
that he did not want these files to come out.
But Trump has come around, and Biden never came around. Biden never gave these women a chance, and that's the story you all aren't telling. When I went through my
they had an
trial 2 years
investigation
ago,
into Ghislaine Maxwell, which resulted in her being put in prison, and then she was moved to a minimum security.
Nice try, Aaron. Nice try. Ro Khanna. There should be no buildings named after people in this Epstein class.
Politicians and abuse and rape America's girls with no consequence. Because survivors spoke up, because of their courage, the truth is finally going to come out. And when it comes out, this country is really going to have a moral reckoning.
Oh, yes, it will, my friends. The moral reckoning is only just beginning. Scott Jennings shattering the narrative that President Trump is calling the entire Epstein scandal a hoax.
None of whom, why can't he see this for what it is, which is a very real thing, not a hoax, with real victims, and with a lot of people potentially involved in something, none of whom have been held accountable?
Well, the hoax is Democrats and others who have gone on television and either implied or worse that he had something to do with it. There's not a shred of evidence that he had anything to do with it, but that's what they want people to believe. That's the narrative that they are trying to get out there.
And that's the hoax, my friends.
That's the hoax. He's never said what happened to them is a hoax. In fact, there seems to be some shards of evidence in here that Trump may have been one of the people that turned in Jeffrey Epstein, which is why Epstein, according to some of the documents, apparently hated Donald Trump. And so the hoax is not that it happened. The hoax is what people are trying to imply or.
So the most damning revelation, Democrats knew this was coming. They tried to get ahead of it. Ro Khanna is desperately demanding buildings be stripped of Epstein-connected names. Anna Navarro on ABC falsely claiming Trump is all over the files without a shred of evidence. They're not acting like innocent people. They're acting like co-conspirators watching the walls close in because they are. So today's vote changes everything. For years, they called us conspiracy theorists for saying Epstein's black book controlled Washington. Now we have members of Congress on record defending their communications with a child trafficker. We have the brother of the predator claiming the files are being sanitized. We have victim groups going dark. This isn't about Democrat versus Republican anymore. This is about the people versus the predators. The fact that only Trump's DOJ was the only administration to indict both Epstein and Maxwell, that tells you everything. Biden had 4 years. Obama had 8. They did nothing. Today, representatives in the House said enough. So here's the question. Will the truth actually come out, or will the Senate and the deep state bury it again? Are you ready to find out which of your heroes are actually monsters? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. While they scramble to hide their sins, support real journalism at our merch shop. You'll find it linked down below.